Ah, summertime. Beach days, long nights, sun rays. Maybe it was the fact that summer vacation when we were little was a great time, but even as an adult, I always look forward to summer. While I no longer get summer vacations like I did in grade school, I still love to make the most of the summer season. In this episode, I'm sharing how you can live your best life this summer and any summer after. And I want you to enjoy your summer while being smart with your budget. So let's dive in. Now, before we get into today's episode, we had a couple of City Girl Solutions questions come in from Kelsey. So I wanted to take some time to answer those questions. So the first one, my partner has a mortgage on the townhouse we live in now. It's only in his name. We recently got engaged and I want to buy a house. It would be my first home. Do you recommend I buy it solo or should we get married first and buy it together? So my answer to this question, Kelsey, is it depends. When you purchase something together with your partner, it's owned by both of you. If you want something just for you, something to call your own, then I would recommend purchasing it solo. Also, nothing says you can't purchase it with him. It will be easier from an approvals perspective, I would think. And you can always get your own second home later. So I would just challenge you to think about what you really want to accomplish with the home. Do you mind having something with you and your partner, or are you really looking to have something to call your own? Kelsey also had another question. On a recent episode on traveling, you mentioned wanting to go to all 50 states. I have the same goal. I am crossing at least one off my list this year, Oregon. Can you share one state you haven't been to yet and that you have high on your list to cross off? Also, have you been to North Dakota? I'm trying to cross that one off, but can't seem to figure out a reason to go. Kelsey, it's so funny. We definitely think alike here, especially with this goal. I really want to go to Rhode Island. So Rhode Island is very high on my list. But it's crazy because a lot of the states that I haven't seen are actually in that general area. So Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. So when I do end up going to Rhode Island, I will definitely figure out a way to get to some of those other eastern states so that I can cross a few off my list. And I have not been to North Dakota yet, but when I do, because I will, this is a goal of mine, when I do, what I'll probably do is plan to see Mount Rushmore. Now, I know Mount Rushmore is in South Dakota, but I will make a whole trip out of it. I haven't been to South Dakota yet either, so 2 states, 1 stone. I also want to add, Oregon is beautiful. You are going to love it. I went a couple years ago, and when I was there, a lot of people told me that Portland, which is where I went, Portland is comparable to Austin. I don't know if that's changed since, it's been a few years, but such a beautiful part of the country. I love the Pacific Northwest, so you will enjoy yourself. Okay, let's get into today's episode. How to live your best life this summer. I think first things first, we need to talk summer planning. Before you can live your best life this summer, or really any summer, planning has to take place. Now, you probably already know this about me. I am a planner by nature, so I don't really function well being very spontaneous. If you are that type of person, it does not mean that you can't live your best life in the summer, but from a budgeting and money management perspective, the earlier you plan, the better you can be with your money and managing it in preparation. So let's assume that we all want to plan our summers. I know that by the time this episode comes out, we are like right smack dab in the middle of summer. But take this information and use it in the future because I do want you to plan ahead. If this is your last spontaneous summer to do things that come out of nowhere, enjoy it. But in the future, let's do our best to plan ahead. So to help you plan, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. First, do I prefer to take a trip in the summer? Do I typically have friends or family that come to town during the summer? Or does my city offer any cool events or experiences in the summer? Your answers to these questions will help make your summer planning easier. If you know you like to take trips in the summer just because summer is such a fun time of the year, then let's plan for that. Let's not wait until the end of spring before we start thinking about where we're going for the summer. If you have friends or family that like to visit you in the summertime, are they coming into town? And if so, are there things that maybe you can plan to help make their time much more fun? And then some cities offer really cool events and experiences in the summer. I want to say Austin has ACL in the summer. It's bad that I don't really know that, but they do it twice a year, and I think summertime is one of the times they do it. So something like that where I probably wouldn't travel in the summer, but I could take advantage of cool things that are in my city or in cities close by. So I think when you take the time to think about how you want to spend your summer, you can plan a lot easier. So let's talk about if you're the type of person who actually likes to take trips in the summer. You already know this, but I got to say it again. The earlier you save for those trips, the better. Make sure you check out episode 30, Vacation Planning on a Budget, for tips on how to plan, budget, and save for your summer trips or any vacations. Now, if you have friends or family that come into town, what things can you plan for them ahead of time? Any town staples, any hard to book restaurants? What about sightseeing activities you've never done in your own city? Start working on a list as soon as you possibly can so that you and your friend or family member can have the best time. And then, like I said, if your city offers fun events like concerts or music festivals, would you be down to go? The earlier you plan and save, the better your time will be. Not to mention, tickets for concerts and festivals are not getting any cheaper. So the earlier you have that money reserved, the better off you'll be. So let's talk about some ideas to help you live your best life this summer, every summer after. Let me first start by saying that every city is going to be different. Okay, so I know that if you are always out and about in your own city, don't be afraid to take it on over to the next town. Don't be afraid to visit nearby cities during the summer. Even a day trip or a one-nighter can be a lot of fun. Exploring, as you know, is such a passion of mine, but when you do get out and explore and see new and different things, you learn a lot about yourself, and you also become a more open-minded individual. My girlfriends and I recently planned a weekend in Waco, and Waco is about an hour and a half away from me in Austin and an hour and a half away from them in Dallas. So nothing crazy, right? We each drove where we needed to drive to see each other, and we had a great time. So don't be afraid to visit cities nearby. Another thing you can do to live your best life this summer is taste test new restaurants. There are always new restaurants popping up across our country, right? So your city, my city, any city, there are always new restaurants. If you can, or if your budget allows, I would recommend 2 per month. So going to 2 new restaurants per month can be a good way to try new things, but also feel like you are taking advantage of summertime. Just make sure you make your reservations early, okay? The earlier you have your reservations, you know that this trip or this restaurant visit can happen, and you can maybe make sure that your food and meals out spending is reduced so you can go to this new restaurant and truly enjoy yourself. And make it fun. Switch between brunch and dinner. So don't just always go to dinner. Don't just always go to brunch. Switch between the two and see what you find. You may find your new next favorite restaurant. And you can also switch the friends you go with too. If you are meeting new people in your city, this could be a great time for you to catch up with acquaintances. So your 2 new restaurant visits per month, switch out who you go with. Another thing you can do to live your best life this summer is pool hop. Visit popular pools across your city with your friends or your partner and just make a day of it. Most local pools don't cost much money, if any, so this can be a great way to take advantage of the summertime, but also not break your budget. Or if you are lucky enough to live in a city that has lakes, oceans, or hot springs, take advantage. Visit major bodies of water while the sun is out blazing. Austin actually has Barton Springs, Town Lake, and Lake Travis. I love to go out on the lake, get a boat or rent a boat for the day, go out on the lake with friends, have a few drinks. Such a good time. I've never been to Barton Springs, so that's something that I'll have to add to my summer to-do list. And if you are one of the lucky few to live near an ocean, first off, I'm so jealous. But second, plan beach days. Just because you are used to having the beach close by doesn't mean that you should take it for granted. Okay, so check out some beaches that you've never been to before in your area and enjoy a beach day. Another fun way to live your best life in the summer is water parks and theme parks. Oh my God, if you are in Austin or close by San Antonio, then I'm sure you've heard of Schlitterbahn. It is the best water park. It's in a town called New Braunfels, which is about an hour from Austin. When I was little, my mom would take my brother and I and a few of our friends a few times every summer. It was so much fun. Obviously, when you're little, you enjoy things like that more than you do when you're an adult. But even as an adult, I've gone a few times. Once with my boyfriend, once with my girlfriends. I had just as much fun at Schlitterbahn as an adult than that I did when I was a kid. So be a kid for the day. Go to a water park in your city or in a city close by. Visit theme parks. I actually remember for my 26th birthday, which is September 2nd, so it's like right at the end of summer, it's Labor Day weekend, my friends and I went to Six Flags. My boyfriend came with too, but we rode roller coasters all day. What a fun way to turn 26, just to be like a kid again. So live your best life this summer by channeling your inner child and visiting some water parks or theme parks. Now, another thing you can do too in your city is visit local parks, nature trails. A great way to stay active on a tight budget is to visit all of the parks or trails or scenic routes in your area. Pack your lunch, make it a picnic, bring a book, and just go spend some time outside. Not only will your budget thank you, but getting out in nature just rejuvenates us in a way that we really can't get by staying indoors. So do some research on your city and some parks that are available to you and plan a day at the park. Okay, so I gave you some great ideas for living your best life this summer in your city or even in nearby cities. But I now want to share how you can be smart with your money and budget while you're living your best life. Okay, so first and foremost, you can enjoy your life on a budget. You can do the things you love, but make sure your bills, priorities, and goals are being taken care of. It is 100% possible, okay? If you don't believe me, please check out episode 3, Breaking Through the Stigma of Budgeting, because you have to shift the way you think about budgeting before you can live your best life on a budget, okay? But let's assume that you believe me and you have the right mindset. Here are some ways you can be smart with your money and budget while doing the things you love this summer. First, pay extra attention to your budget. What categories will you be doing more spending in than usual during the summertime? Where can you cut back to compensate for any overspending? Can you reduce some categories and add a little bit more income to other categories to offset? If you save less than normal because of your spending in the summer, what impact will it have towards your goals? And will you be able to catch up as the fall or winter approaches? Ultimately, I want you to stay close to your budget and numbers throughout the summer months, because this will help you avoid moving into fall being more behind than you plan to be. So don't feel bad about spending, but think about your budget in a way where you can figure out a game plan to offset any overspending, whether that means cutting back in other categories or finding ways to make more money. Now, another thing you can do is allocate more to your fun category than you typically would. So let's be real. This episode is about living your best life in the summer. So obviously that means there could be more fun or going out spending than typical. I want you to allocate the extras as early as possible, okay? And whatever amount you give yourself to enjoy your life in the summer, to have fun in the summer, do your best to stick to it, okay? The whole purpose of setting limits is we know what our cap is in a way that means we can still get other things taken care of. So if you are going over your spending limits, it's going to be at the cost of something else, whether that's your goals, whether that's your savings, whether that means adding to debt. And that's not what we're trying to do. We don't want to live our best life, but do it in a way that leaves us worse off. So have a game plan for any overspending. Make sure you know ahead of time where you can spend less in your budget to compensate for any overspending. And knowing that information ahead of time can take a lot of stress off of your shoulders. And then my final piece of advice is to try to find ways to make extra money. I think the summer can be a great time to bring in extra income. I personally love to clean out my closet in the summer. I don't know what that's about. Maybe because I would always do back to school clothes shopping when I was little. We would do it, in the summer in preparation for the new school year, but it stuck with me. So I like to use the summer months to clean out my closet, and any clothes that I no longer want, that no longer bring joy, that I just don't see myself wearing, I like to take to thrift and resale shops just to get some extra cash. Don't get your hopes too high. I learned early on when selling your clothes to thrift and resale shops that you're not going to get what you paid for it, okay? So anything extra is a good thing. And then if you want some other ways to make money and you have the time or capacity to do so, consider dog walking, pet sitting, house sitting, or even babysitting. You can make a lot of extra cash in the summer with all of these side hustles. So although we're not kids anymore, it doesn't mean we can't enjoy summer ourselves as an adult. And if you have kids, hopefully you can help make the most of this time for them. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And before I let you go, did you know I create budget plans for clients and offer one-on-one money coaching? I coach my clients through the habits, routines, and mindset they need to set a budget and stick to it. You can learn more by checking out citygirlsavings.com and clicking on the financial coaching page under Work with Rhea.